What if I told you that everything you've ever wanted is on the other side of discomfort? Right now, you may not feel like it's possible. You may be caught in routine, in self-doubt, in the repetition of a life that feels stagnant. But listen closely, because the truth is this: your life can change the moment you decide it must. We all start somewhere. Some begin with more, some with less, but no one escapes the internal struggle, that voice in your head whispering, "You're not enough," or "Why even try?" It's a lie. It always was. But it's so easy to believe because it speaks your language of fear. And fear, if you let it, will dictate the rhythm of your life. There comes a time when you must look in the mirror and make a decision. Do I continue living at half my potential, or do I dig deep, push forward, and claim what I know I deserve? This isn't just motivation. This is survival of the spirit, the fight to reclaim your will, to awaken the power within you that's been buried under excuses, pain, and the illusion of limitation. It's not easy. It never will be. But it's worth every second. Think about this. Every great accomplishment in the world was once just an idea, born from struggle, nurtured by perseverance, and carried by someone who refused to give up. That someone could be you. That idea could be your dream. But only if you stop waiting for the perfect moment, because it will never come. Waiting is the enemy. Procrastination wears the mask of planning, but it's only fear in disguise. You don't need more time. You need to move. Start now, with what you have, where you are. You're not too late. You're not too old. You're not too broken. You're just one decision away from a completely different life. The biggest lie is that you must be fully prepared to begin, that you need to feel confident, or that success requires the absence of fear. But every step forward will come with fear. Every move into the unknown will challenge what you think you're capable of. That's how growth works. Growth doesn't happen in comfort. It happens when you're stretched, when you fall, when you fail and decide to stand again. The pain you feel isn't there to stop you, it's there to teach you. The resistance you face isn't a wall, it's a test. Ask yourself, what if the struggle you're in right now is preparing you for the strength you'll need tomorrow? What if every moment of doubt is sharpening your resolve? The truth is, we don't rise when everything is perfect. We rise when we choose not to stay down. When the weight of circumstances tries to crush us, and we say, "Not today." But this fight, this transformation, isn't just about physical effort. It's mental, it's emotional, it's spiritual in the sense that it requires the deepest part of you to rise up and believe again. Sometimes you'll have to walk alone. There won't be applause. There won't be validation. But if you keep going, step by step, eventually you'll look back and see the distance you've covered. And it will all be worth it. The ones who make it aren't the smartest. They're not the most talented. They're the ones who show up, again and again, long after the mood to continue has left them. They've made a decision that their future matters more than their temporary feelings. That's where the power lies. So today, what's stopping you? Fear? Doubt? Failure? Good. That means you're on the right path. Because anything worth having will come with resistance. And every bit of it will build you if you don't quit. You've heard the whispers telling you to settle, to shrink, to play it safe. But something inside you knows that's not who you are. You weren't made to settle. You weren't made to simply exist. You were made to thrive, to rise, to lead. But first, you must fight through the fog of your own limits. You must choose discomfort over ease, effort over excuses, progress over perfection. You will be tested. You will be tempted to give up. But on the other side of that temptation is transformation. You have to want it more than you fear it. And here's where the challenge begins, because now you must confront what's really holding you back. Not the world, not your circumstances, but your own mind. The stories you tell yourself shape the reality you live in. If you constantly say you're not good enough, then you'll act like it. If you say you're too late, you'll walk like it. But if you dare to say, "I am becoming," then suddenly a new path opens. So, are you willing to rewrite that story? Are you willing to tear down every lie that's been fed to you and rebuild your truth on discipline, belief, and relentless action? This is the moment. This is where you stop letting life push you around and start pushing back. You don't have to be extraordinary to begin. You just have to begin to become extraordinary. The path ahead will be filled with obstacles. Some days you'll feel alone. Some nights you'll question why you started. But remember, the struggle is part of the process. It's shaping you, molding you, making you unbreakable. And as you begin to change, the world around you will change. Not because it suddenly became easier, but because you became stronger. This is only the beginning. You've made the decision to rise. That choice alone sets you apart from the crowd. But now comes the real test. Staying committed when the excitement fades, when progress feels invisible, and when no one is clapping for you. This is where most people stop. But not you. Because something inside of you is waking up, something powerful. You've already begun to see it. The world doesn't stop for anyone. Time moves on, and life keeps unfolding, with or without your permission. If you wait for permission, you'll be left behind. That's why today you stop waiting. No more hoping someone will rescue you. No more blaming circumstances. You're not here to be passive. You're here to become the architect of your destiny. But that requires something most people are afraid to confront: personal responsibility. It's one of the hardest things to accept, because once you do, there are no more excuses. If your life isn't where you want it to be, it's on you to change it. Not tomorrow. Not when things get easier. Now. And yes, that can feel overwhelming. You might feel like you've wasted too much time, made too many mistakes, missed too many chances. But those thoughts are just illusions. The truth is, you haven't missed anything that was meant for you, as long as you're willing to work for it now. Because change doesn't care about your past. Progress doesn't ask what you've done before. It only responds to effort, to consistency, to the mindset that says, no matter how long it takes, I won't stop until I get there. And that's what you're building now. Not just motivation, but a mindset. A way of thinking that becomes your foundation. That keeps you going when things get hard, when the results don't show, and when you feel like quitting. This mindset says, I don't need to see the finish line to keep moving. I just need to take the next step. That next step might be small. It might be uncomfortable. It might not feel like it matters. But over time, those small steps add up. Every day you choose to push forward, you're rewriting your future. You're separating yourself from the person you used to be. And here's the truth no one tells you. Growth feels like failure. Because you're constantly confronting what you don't know, what you can't yet do. But that discomfort isn't a sign that you're failing. It's a sign that you're changing. If you're tired, that means you're working. If you're confused, that means you're learning. If you feel fear, that means you're expanding beyond your limits. All of it means you're alive. You're engaged. You're no longer a bystander in your own story. And yes, it will get messy. Progress isn't a straight line. It's filled with setbacks, detours, and moments that test your patience. But those moments are necessary. They're what separate the committed from the curious. When you start chasing your vision, people won't always understand. They might doubt you, mock you, or try to pull you back into the comfort of sameness. Not because they're bad people, but because your growth makes them question their own. Don't let that distract you. This is your journey, your path, and you don't need anyone's approval to keep walking it. So now ask yourself, who are you becoming? Are you building the habits that match your vision? Are you feeding your mind with thoughts that push you forward or ones that keep you stuck? Because here's the thing, you can't live an extraordinary life on an ordinary mindset. You can't reach your next level thinking the way you did yesterday. Every version of success comes with a price, and the price is growth. And growth always demands sacrifice. You may have to let go of people who don't believe in your path. You may have to break old patterns that kept you safe but stagnant. You may have to walk away from the familiar to step into the unknown. But in that unknown lies your power. That's where you discover who you really are, not the image you've built for others, but the raw, untamed, relentless force that's been buried under fear and comfort. And if you listen closely, you'll feel it rising. A voice inside you that says, keep going. I'm not done yet. You see, it's not about motivation anymore. Motivation is a spark. What you need now is discipline. The kind that shows up when no one's watching. That trains when it's tired. That keeps building when the results are invisible. Discipline is what carries you when emotion fades. When the initial fire goes out, it's discipline that keeps you warm. And every time you show up, when you don't feel like it, when everything in you wants to quit, you're proving to yourself that you're in control. And once you taste that kind of control, everything changes. You stop reacting to life, and you start creating it. You stop running from challenges, and you start running toward them. Because now you know, every challenge is an opportunity to become more, to build strength, to learn something new about yourself, to sharpen your skills, to get one step closer to the life you deserve. But here's where it gets real, because sooner or later, the obstacle will arrive. The one that shakes you, the one that makes you question if this is worth it, the moment where everything feels like it's falling apart. That's the point where most give up. But that's also the point where legends are born. That's where your real strength is revealed. Not in the easy wins, but in the hard-fought battles that no one sees. And when you face that challenge, and you will, remember this: pressure creates diamonds. Fire forges steel. Struggle builds greatness. So don't run from the challenge. Embrace it. Let it refine you. Let it strengthen your will. Let it show you just how powerful you can be when you refuse to back down. You've stepped into the storm, and you're still standing. That alone is proof that you have what it takes. Most would have turned back by now, searching for comfort, looking for the easy way out. But not you. You've chosen the road that challenges you, the one that demands more, because you've realized that becoming more means giving more. Now is when your character starts to solidify. Because when you keep moving forward in the face of exhaustion, uncertainty, and resistance, you're shaping yourself into someone unshakable. Every time you push past a limit, you expand. Every time you silence that voice that says, "Give up," you take back control. And now, you're facing something deeper, the challenge of consistency. This isn't about speed anymore. It's not about how fast you get there. It's about whether you're willing to show up, every single day, especially when progress seems invisible. Because the truth is, most of the work happens in silence, behind closed doors, away from the spotlight. You won't always see immediate results. The outside world won't cheer for every step, but you must learn to cheer for yourself, to recognize your own growth, to celebrate the fact that you're becoming the kind of person who refuses to quit. And yet, there's still that inner resistance, that little voice, always ready with reasons to pause, to rest, to stop. It'll tell you you've done enough, that you've earned a break, that maybe this isn't for you. But here's what you need to remember: that voice isn't truth. It's fear. It's your past trying to hold on. And you didn't come this far to let your past dictate your future. You see, the real war is not outside of you. It's not the circumstances, not the failures, not even the obstacles. The real war is within, between who you are and who you're capable of becoming. And the outcome of that war depends entirely on the decisions you make now. Will you let comfort win? Or will you rise? Because every day you're given a choice: evolve or repeat, grow or stay the same, move or remain stuck. That choice is yours, and no one can make it for you. But you're not just choosing for today. You're choosing for your future self, the version of you that's waiting on the other side of all this struggle, the one who's stronger, wiser, more confident, because you refuse to settle. And that version of you isn't found in a single breakthrough moment. They're built in the quiet repetition of effort, in the early mornings when you'd rather sleep, in the late nights when no one's watching, in the small daily wins that add up to transformation. You won't always feel like doing it, but that's when it matters most. The gap between where you are and where you want to be isn't talent. It isn't luck. It's consistency. It's discipline. It's deciding again and again to keep showing up. And yes, there will be days when you fall short, days when you stumble, days when you break. But that's okay. You're not here to be perfect. You're here to grow. And every setback, every mistake, every hard lesson, it's not the end. It's just another chapter in the story of your comeback. Because you're writing that story with every decision you make. The story of someone who didn't wait for permission, who didn't quit when things got hard, who didn't back down when fear whispered in their ear, but instead stood tall, looked life in the eye, and said, "I will not be broken. You've come too far to stop now, but the next level will demand more. More focus, more resilience, more sacrifice, and more belief in yourself, especially when it feels like no one else sees what you're fighting for." This is where the pressure builds, where doubt creeps in, where the finish line still feels so far away. But pressure, when embraced, creates breakthroughs. It's not something to avoid. It's something to rise through. Because the harder it gets, the closer you are. Every challenge is a mirror. It reveals what you truly believe about yourself. And in those moments, you have to decide, do I trust in my own potential, or do I retreat to what's familiar? If you want to rise, you have to be willing to let go of who you were. To break free from the identity that's been shaped by fear, failure, or other people's opinions. You must step into your own power, fully, unapologetically. You don't need to prove anything to the world. The only thing you need is to prove to yourself that you can keep going, that you are capable, that you are becoming, that you are worthy of the life you're building. And make no mistake, you are. Not because it's been given to you, but because you've earned it through effort, through struggle, through relentless pursuit. You're not chasing perfection. You're chasing progress. You're not here to impress. You're here to evolve. So don't slow down. Don't second-guess yourself now. You're in the middle of transformation, and it's messy. But that's what growth feels like. Confusion, frustration, doubt, and then clarity, strength, unshakable belief. That's what's coming next. If you keep going, you're on the edge of something great. You can feel it. Every part of you knows it's close. But that next level will only come when you decide to give just a little more. When you dig deeper. When you reach for that last ounce of energy, that last second of effort, that last breath of fight. Because right when you think you've given everything, that's when you find out how much more you're truly capable of. You're not done. Not even close. You've come too far to turn around now. That fire you've lit inside of you, it's not just a spark anymore. It's a force. You've walked through the doubt, the fatigue, the silence. You've carried the weight of your own expectations and still moved forward. That alone makes you different. But now the path narrows. It gets steeper. The resistance becomes stronger. And this is where you face the moment of truth, the point where everything either breaks you or builds you. Not because life is trying to punish you, but because it's asking one question. How bad do you want this? Wanting it is easy. Everyone says they want success, change, fulfillment. But few are willing to endure what it actually takes. Few are willing to keep showing up when the reward is nowhere in sight. But that's what it takes. That's where the separation happens, between those who wish and those who decide. And you've already decided. You're not here to make wishes. You're here to take ownership, to create something that lasts, something that matters. You don't need the perfect conditions. You just need one thing, commitment. Commitment that doesn't waver when life throws a curveball. Commitment that holds firm even when your motivation disappears. Commitment that doesn't need validation or applause. That kind of commitment is rare. It's powerful, and it's the reason you will make it, because you're willing to keep pushing forward when most would stop. But understand this, when you commit to growth, life will test that commitment. It will present you with setbacks, failures, losses, not to destroy you, but to prepare you, to shape you, to make you stronger than the version of you that began this journey. You will fail sometimes. You will fall. You will doubt yourself. That's not weakness. That's part of the process. It's in those moments that you gain your real strength. Not from always winning, but from rising after every fall. From standing back up when your knees are shaking and your heart is heavy. That's how resilience is built. Not by avoiding pain, but by walking through it. And in doing so, you become more. You start realizing that you're not just chasing a goal. You're becoming a new version of yourself. One that doesn't run from struggle, but welcomes it. Struggle reveals your capacity. It forces you to dig deeper than you ever thought possible. It unlocks a strength you didn't know existed, a strength that can't be taught, only earned. And every time you lean into it, you're proving to yourself that you are capable of facing whatever comes next. But there's another challenge, the temptation to compare. To look at others and think you're behind. To see their progress and question your own. But their path isn't yours. Their timeline isn't yours. You are not late. You are not behind. You are exactly where you need to be, learning, growing, evolving at your own pace. Comparison will steal your joy, your focus, your energy. Don't let it. Instead, compare yourself to who you were yesterday. Measure your progress by how much stronger you are now than when you started. That's the only comparison that matters. Because growth isn't always visible. Sometimes the biggest wins happen on the inside, the battles you fight in your own mind. The moments you choose discipline over comfort, courage over fear, effort over excuses. That's real success. That's real transformation. And here's what makes it powerful. No one can take it from you. The mindset you build, the discipline you develop, the character you forge, it's yours. Earned through every hour you showed up. Through every time you said, I will, when it would have been easier to say, I can't. And now, something is shifting inside you. You can feel it. A new voice is rising. Not the one that doubts, but the one that declares. The one that says, I am not afraid of this next level. I am ready for it. Because you are. You've paid the price in sweat, in effort, in silence. You've pushed through resistance most people never get past. And now, you're standing at the edge of breakthrough. But don't expect it to get easier. In fact, expect more resistance. Because the higher you climb, the thinner the air becomes. The distractions grow louder. The stakes feel higher. And your mind will look for reasons to turn back. But that's when you remind yourself why you started. Not for the applause. Not for recognition. You started because you knew there was more in you, more than the world has seen. More than your past allowed. More than you've allowed yourself to believe. And now it's time to unleash that. You have nothing to prove to anyone else. The only person you need to impress is the future version of you, the one that's watching, waiting, hoping that you won't quit. That version exists. It's real. And every decision you make is either pulling you closer to it or pushing you further away. So ask yourself, are you willing to keep going when no one's watching? Are you willing to suffer for a few months, even years, for a lifetime of pride? Are you willing to embrace discomfort so fully that it becomes your teacher? Because that's what it takes. There are no shortcuts. There is no magic. Just you and the willingness to show up again. And again. And again. Even when it hurts. Even when it's slow. Even when the world doubts you. Because you believe. And that belief, if you feed it, becomes unshakable. It becomes your anchor when the storm hits. And the storm always hits before the calm. Always. So when it comes, you won't run. You'll rise. You'll face it. You'll walk through it. Because you are not who you were at the start. And you are not finished yet. You've pushed beyond what most would endure. You've walked through the doubt, the fear, the silence. And now, there's no more pretending. No more questioning whether this path is meant for you. Because it is. Not because someone gave it to you. Not because it was easy. But because you earned it. This is what it means to fight for your own future. To wake up each day and choose purpose over comfort. To choose growth over convenience. To choose to become the kind of person who doesn't just dream, but executes. Who doesn't just talk, but moves. Who doesn't wait, but builds. And now the horizon is starting to shift. You can feel something stirring, not just in the world around you, but in you. The pressure has molded you. The struggle has sharpened you. The loneliness has grounded you. All of it, every hard lesson, every unseen hour, has been crafting the version of you that can carry the weight of what's coming. And what's coming? A new level, a higher standard, a life on your terms. But don't misunderstand, this doesn't mean the battles are over. It means you're more prepared than ever to face them. You've trained in the darkness. You've grown in the quiet. You've built in silence. And now, the world will start to notice what you've always known, that you are ready. Ready not just to survive, but to lead. Not just to endure, but to rise. Not just to try, but to dominate. This isn't just about motivation anymore. It's about momentum. And momentum is created when you move with intention, day after day, without needing a reason, without waiting for ideal conditions. You move because you said you would. You move because you promised yourself something, and now you're keeping that promise. And the truth is, very few keep that promise to themselves. Most break it the moment it gets hard, the moment it stops being exciting. But not you. You've made a decision, and decisions backed by action build legacies. You're not aiming for average. You're not interested in ordinary. You've proven that you're willing to do what most won't. And that's why you'll have what most never will. Not just success, but pride. Not just progress, but purpose. Not just growth, but greatness. And the most incredible part? You're only just beginning. Because now the game changes. The same pressure that once made you uncomfortable now pushes you forward. The same voices of doubt now fuel your focus. The same fear that once paralyzed you now confirms you're on the right path. You've turned the very things that once held you back into fuel. And that's what makes you unstoppable. Not perfection, not fearlessness, but persistence, resilience, the ability to move forward even when the voice in your head says stop. You are no longer negotiating with weakness. You are no longer compromising with limitation. You have drawn a line and said, this is who I'm becoming, and nothing will pull me back. Because forward is the only direction now. You have faced the questions that most avoid. Who am I when no one's watching? What am I willing to give to grow? How far am I willing to go to live life on my terms? And you answered with action. You chose to show up, to keep pushing, to fight for your next level. And that choice will always be worth it, even when the rewards don't come instantly, even when no one claps, even when it feels like the world is silent. Because the real prize is not out there, it's in here, inside of you, in who you're becoming, in the strength you now carry, in the mindset you now own. You are not the same person you were when this journey started. You've outgrown that version. You've evolved. And now, you stand with something rare, self-respect. The kind that can only be earned through effort, through discipline, through rising when everything in you screamed to stop. You didn't quit. You didn't fold. You didn't give your power away. You owned it. Every struggle, every setback, every quiet morning and exhausted night. You held the line. You faced yourself. And you chose to rise. And now it's time to build, to expand, to walk into the opportunities your old self wasn't ready for. Because they're waiting, not just in the distance, but right in front of you. And the only thing left is one final decision. Will you keep going? Will you take the momentum you've earned and run with it? Will you continue to demand more from yourself, not because you're not enough, but because you know how much more you have inside? You've seen what you're capable of. Now show the world. Show them what happens when someone refuses to give up, when someone refuses to settle, when someone decides that this life, this one precious, powerful life, will be lived fully, no matter the cost. And if ever again you hear that voice, the one that says, "You can't," remember who answered it. Remember who kept going. Remember who showed up. You did, and you still are. Now finish what you started.